Hello, everyone, and welcome to another show by Campus Spotlight.
Today, I was hoping you guys would help me learn about something I don't know much, the LGBTQ plus community. So, can somebody tell me what LGBTQ plus stands for?
So LGBTQ stands for L for lesbian, G for gay, B for bisexual, T for transgender, Q for queer, I for intersex, and A for asexual.
So I don't know much deep into this topic. So can anyone explain it?
Okay, so to understand that, we have to understand something about ourselves. Now, everyone can be associated with three things: your biological sex, your gender, and your sexuality. Your biological sex is basically the sex you were born as, plain and simple, right? So, you can be a biological male, a biological female, or biological intersex. Intersexual people can have genitals and hormones of both sexes or none. They are sometimes confused for trans people, but we will come to that later. Now, let's talk about gender. That sometimes confuses a lot of people, and I am a lot of people. But here is a trick that I use. So, let's forget about biological sex for a moment. Ask yourself what gender you associate yourself with. Forget your body, ask your mind. Maybe it's male, it could be female, it could be none, which is termed non binary, and it could be labeled fluid, which means you're attracted to both. Now, this realization is the most difficult part, and acceptance is even tougher. But every person must have been through this at least once, maybe unconsciously, but they have. When you feel that your gender and your biological sex are matching, that is when you know that you are cis. When you can see that your gender and your biological sex are not matching, that is when you know that you are trans. This is actually an internal realization and not really your biological thing, because gender is more of what you believe you are and not what sex you were born as. So therefore the confusion between the intersex and trans is there sometimes, but yeah, here it is. Now let's forget your gender for a moment too as well. Forget who you are and just think about who you want, who you are attracted to. Once again, it can be male, female, both, none. And there can be many other different number of expressions you feel attachment to, which gives rise to different sexuality. If you're a male or female attracted to the opposite gender, you are heterosexual. For same gender, you are homosexual or gay and lesbian in case of women. Bisexual, polysexual, pansexual are all different sexualities where you are attracted to more than one gender or gender expression. And there are so many other which you can be curious about, and you can just go and read up on those, I guess. But there is something that I have always wondered: what is it with Pride Month and June? Why is it celebrated in June?
Okay, first let's talk about what Pride means. Gay Pride or LGBTQ Pride is a promotion of the self-affirmation, dignity, equality, and increased visibility of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people as a social group. Pride, as opposed to shame and social stigma, is a predominant outlook that bolsters most LGBTQ rights movements. The event that catalyzed the gay rights movement came to be in June 1969. Ever since then, June has been celebrated as Pride Month. Pride Month commemorates years of struggle for civil rights and the ongoing pursuit of equal justice under the law for the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer community.
But why is the flag of pride the rainbow colored flag that we see everywhere?
Okay, let me explain. It goes back to 1978 when the artist Gilbert Baker, an openly gay man and a drag queen, designed the first rainbow flag. Baker revealed that he was urged to create a symbol of pride for the gay community by Harvey Milk. You know who Harvey Milk is?
No.
Okay, so Harvey Milk was the first openly gay elected official in the US. So, yes, Gilbert Baker, the one who designed the first rainbow flag, believed that flags were the most powerful symbol of pride. And so he went on to create the first flag with 8 colors. And each color represented and stood for a notion. Hot pink for sex, red for life, orange for healing, yellow for sunlight, green for nature, turquoise for art, indigo for harmony, and violet for spirit. The first versions of the rainbow flag were flown on June 25th, 1978, for the San Francisco Gay Freedom Day Parade. But due to certain production issues, the design was changed to a six-striped flag, and those colors were red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and violet. Later on, black and brown colors were added to include the black and brown communities as well. As you can see, the pride flag has a colorful history.
Okay, so we know that a few years back, after Section 377 was taken down, LGBTQ plus community has gotten themselves a platform in our country. They have gotten a voice, and they have gotten many rights that they were earlier not given. But how much has this affected our society, or like, has our society really accepted them as a community or as people?
Okay, so I'll start with the movies. LGBTQ community was always there in movies. The only difference is that over the years, the kind of portrayal is changing. For example, if you take any movie, any 90s or early 2000 movie, you'll find these characters, in a humorous role. In a humorous role, in the sense, they're actually laughing at them. So, but right now, if you find the kind of characters, you'll see that they're also being treated as equal as very normal human beings. For example, the movie Dostana, which released I think in 2010, is credited as the first Indian movie which portrays gay relationship. But if you are a person who have seen the movie, you'll understand that the kind of portrayal here is humorous. We are laughing at that kind of relationship. So we are actually mocking at them instead of supporting them. But they claim that this movie is the first movie to portray a gay relationship in a light. We know that Indian society is very conservative, but again, this movie didn't do any good. Instead, it was portraying the age-old ideology that these gay people, they're unapproachable. It's always a mistake, and they were never treated as equal human beings. But right now, nearly a decade after that, you can see movies like शुभ मंगल ज़्यादा सावधान एक लड़की को देखा तो ऐसा लगा, in which mainstream actors like Sonam Kapoor, Ayushmann Khurrana are portraying them as normal human beings from a very normal community. So yeah, that is the difference in portrayal. But still, we can see, even though there is a significant jump in the kind of portrayal, even though they are trying to normalize this community, we can still find that somewhat, even though they claim the portrayal to be progressive, somewhere something is being lacking. Now why it is lacking, what I personally feel is that it's because of the lack of education. Even when we are having a conversation now, none of us know completely, or at least even 90% of the thing about this community, how they feel and all. The writer who writes such movies are also in the same stage, and that is being reflected. For example, in the last year 2020, an anthology in Tamil released Pavakadaigal. In that, one short story was about a trans woman. But again, in that film, the trans woman was being portrayed by a male actor. Now the question is, if they actually indeed try to show these community in a progressive light, why is a male actor portraying this character? In fact, they should have taken a trans woman, but why only male actor? Now, many people might find this justification as absurd, but think like this. If there is a heroine role, only a female actress portrays it. A male actor doesn't change his costume and come and portray it. Then why should a trans woman or a queer character be portrayed by someone who's straight and someone who doesn't belong to that gender? They can include the person from the same gender, then only that inclusivity will start coming. What do you guys feel about it?
Yeah, I definitely agree with Sneha on this point. Even in the past 10 years, we have seen that the situation for giving LGBTQ people a platform has significantly improved. I believe that today, if a song like Makaladla Bigad Gaya was to be released, people would refute it. They would not allow such a song to be published today. But have we actually given them a platform to talk, to raise their voices? I still believe that the older generations still view them as if they are sinners. And until we eradicate that thought process in their mind, I do not think that they will be given an open platform to speak. What do you guys think?
Yes, like you said, society continued portraying LGBTQ community in the way it was portrayed in Dostana. Then even after 100 years, we would still be thinking that these people, whatever they do is wrong, and we would be still feeling the same. But what happened was that slowly but steadily, few characters emerged, a few people from the community started talking about this, and that's why that change has come, so that at least maybe like 60 to 70% of the population feel that what they are doing is correct, that is their identity. But like you told, especially for the older generation people, they still find it difficult to accept these kind of people. Why? Because the ideology that these kind of people are inapproachable, they're not right, what they're doing is not right, still exists. So if, for example, right now we have Instagram, which is like the biggest social media application right now in the market. If you find some reels or some memes, we find that they're so much homophobic, and that is what sometimes even we'll be laughing at it, but what we forget is that we are actually laughing at a community. And even if we claim to be progressive, and if we're still laughing at it, we are not allowing any change to come. That is where things has to change. What I personally feel is that instead of we have it in the social media, but other than social media, in general, when you're together, when you're with friends, you should talk about it. You should make people comfortable so that they can also, so that the people from this community can also come and talk. And that is one solution. The other solution is obviously sex education. There is a lack of sex education, a lack in the sense of very big lack in our country, and that is why what this homophobia exists. So yeah.
What exactly do you mean by sex education and why is it important? Can someone shed some light on that?
Sex education is not just about their reproductive rights, but it's also far more than that. It helps us to understand human sexuality on a broad basis, and which includes emotional relationships and responsibilities, human sexual anatomy, and helps us understand each other and each and every being in their own way. And why sex education plays a major role is because when we incorporate it to children at a much younger age, children are very, very have higher capability and capacity to learn and grasp information. Basically, lack of knowledge is the primary reason why most of the older generations do not accept people from these communities. So if you're able to nurture children at such a young age, I'm pretty sure the society as a whole will be much more accepting, and it'll be a pleasant and a much more harmonious place for every community.
I think you have made a great point that children need to be educated about this. And it's basically like if you're growing up as a male, right, because of your biological sex, but it's obviously more difficult for you to accept that you are a female from within. And I think that is the reason why this article I was recently reading upon, that some families have taken up the initiative to start raising gender neutral babies. So like even though their baby has like is biologically a male or a female, they don't label that on the baby. The baby grows as the pronoun they. So they call the they babies. And as they grow up and they meet each other, and then when they finally reach an age to understand themselves and they want to put a label on themselves, that is when they put a label. So irrespective of their biological sex. And I think that really helps. And I mean, yeah, definitely it's much more easier for people to understand whether or not you even associate yourself with the sex that you like you biologically have. So yeah, I think that is really important. Yes.
Parichita told, one solution would be to have gender neutral babies. That is, we don't try to restrict a baby or a child or a person to a specific gender. The thing is that this is a wide topic, and like I said before, most people don't know what it is. So sometimes there still may be cis people who confine themselves to that because they don't have a proper exposure. Maybe they might be you know homosexual, but still they still doesn't have any exposure or knowledge about all these things, so they might just be confused. So instead of when a baby is born, if you just tell that, okay, this is a male baby or a female baby, instead of that, you just allow them to grow as it is, and as soon as they get some understanding, they'll realize which sex or which gender they'll fit into, and then things will be more better. So one solution is sex education, another is gender neutral, third thing is in our general behavior. For example, not confining, that some babies should wear some kind of clothes, or some people should wear, some people should only wear what accessories like earrings, bangles, and etc. By such behavioral changes, we can actually make our society more inclusive. I know it's a difficult task, but it's not an impossible task. So like they say, education begins at home. So from home itself, if we start cultivating such habits, slowly but steadily we can bring about the change. Another change is that we'll have to completely reorganize our syllabus. For example, if we take the biology textbooks, they only talk about the male body and female body. You don't know what is happening in a trans body. So these are natural questions, and just like how the way our society is, people don't ask anyone else also. So one very much effective way is to include these things into the syllabus, so that by before they're like of 20 or 25 age, they'll understand what's happening. Why I'm emphasizing on this is that a couple of weeks back, it was menstrual hygiene day, and that day I understood that even trans people can menstruate. So this was a completely new knowledge to me. So I think like me, a lot of people doesn't know this thing. So what happens is that if you see advertisement of the sanitary products, they only feature females, heterosexual females. So we naturally come into, so a person who doesn't have much knowledge about menstruation and everything, they come into a conclusion that only women menstruate. So say suppose you're in a workplace and a trans person menstruates, and if that person tells it to someone else, they might not believe it. So inclusivity should come there. So the only thing we can do is that educate people. Education is the only solution we can do now.
Yeah, that was a great conversation by Sughandhan, Parichita, and Sneha. They all put up some really good points on how we can make the LGBTQ plus community more inclusive. Even today, a number of large organizations are taking initiatives to make sure that the community feels a lot more inclusive. For example, the other day I saw an excellent advertisement by Three Roses, where even a person of the older generation is being a lot more accepting towards this. That I really recommend everybody to check out that advertisement. I believe that a lot more large organizations need to take such initiative steps to make sure that everybody in the country, forget the country, everybody in the world is a lot more inclusive. We're also releasing the show in July to tell everybody to see not only June as Pride Month. Every month should be Pride Month. Every month, every day, we should make people feel more inclusive. We should be more accepting towards this. I just have one thing to say. Be the change you want to see.
And with that, I think we're going to wrap up today's discussion. I hope everybody listening had a good time and learned something new. So stay home, stay safe, and until next time, see you.